Right, let's focus now on this really sad news. Tributes continue to pour in for the award-winning veteran actor Jamie Bartlett. The 55-year-old actor died yesterday, perhaps best known as Rhythm City's villain, David Genaro. He was also an accomplished stage and film performer. I'm joined now by close friend and co-creator of Rhythm City, actor and writer Neil McCarthy. Neil, thank you so much for joining us, and condolences. He was such a phenomenal man, so much larger than life in many ways. When did you first meet Jamie? Is it all the way back to Market Theatre acting days in the 90s?
It was even before that. We first worked together in Cape Town in the old Cape Town days. I was playing Richard II in Shakespeare's Richard II, and Jamie was my arch rival Bolingbroke, and that's how we first became friends and our first opportunity to work together. He was a phenomenal Shakespearean actor on top of all his other many skills and attributes. He loved doing Shakespeare, and he was incredibly good at it. And then we worked together repeatedly over the years at the market, as you say, Sally. We collaborated a number of times. He was in a number of plays that I wrote and I directed him in, and a classic Ibsen work, Hedda Gabler, where we played together. And then, I then moved on to television writing, and I was the original head writer of Isidingo, and created that role of Mike O'Reilly for him, which was his huge break in local TV. And then when I moved on to Rhythm City at ETV, Jay was passionate about wanting to be involved in that. And so I made the role of David Genaro for him there, which he did so brilliantly and really, inspired and injected that show with so much drama and tension that, he was a unique and special part of it from the beginning.
I mean, he absolutely brilliant villain. It's really interesting that you created both Mike O'Reilly on Isidingo and David Genaro for Rhythm City with him in mind, because he seemed. I mean, Shahan and I were chatting about this just a little earlier, and in real life, he was just such a performer and so out there and dominated every room. Did you find in creating the character that you drew on a lot of what you knew, not only in terms of his character, but also his range and depth as an actor?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody who worked on Rhythm City on the writing side would confirm that he was a wonderful character to write for, because you could kind of channel Jamie's own unique energy. He had this real passion and commitment to everything that he did, that not only reflected in his performance style, but in his verbal style, in his vocabulary, in his framing, and that crept into his own, David Genaro's own lines, and the way that the character was framed was very much framed with Jamie in mind, with his energy in mind, and with his way of speaking, way of communicating, because it was often a very singular way. He would often pick up these little phrases that he'd found in conversation with, this kind of demi-mode that he was part of, and he would bring them onto the stage floor. And he'd often, we could write as much as we like, and Jamie would find ways of putting additional stuff, of putting layers that we hadn't even thought of on top of that character, making it his own.
Neil, what was it like to be a friend of Jamie Bartlett? Now, I ask that because most of us, whether we've met him in person or seen him on television or in any of his productions, we feel we kind of know him. But what was it like to be a close friend? Was there a different side to him?
Sure, there was. I mean, Jay was an incredibly generous person. He was always supportive. He was always out there rooting for you. And whenever, at the toughest moments of my life, I would always gravitate towards Jamie because he was a rock. He would be there. He'd somehow kind of dragged the energy and the positivity out of any experience and could transform something that that was feeling hard and tough. And when at moments when I felt completely battered and ground down, Jamie would be there and be able to rebuild a confidence and a belief and a positivity in the world. He had a unique ability to do that.
Amazing friend, it sounds like. I wonder if you could share with us, if you're willing, perhaps your last conversation or the memory that you will hold most dear.
Jay, he was struggling a bit to find a role for himself in the world for the last couple of years, since Rhythm City, in fact. And we had a couple of conversations around where he could plug in and what the next big challenge would be. And we were talking about things like him doing podcasts. And I know he was talking to a lot of his other friends and colleagues out there about where he could fit in and where he could make a contribution, because he was always very anxious not only to find his next professional challenge, but to feel that he was moving the society that he was part of forward as well. As a South African, as part of this changing landscape that we're all part of, he really wanted to be a force for positive change, and we would often wrestle with ways in which he could do that and where that was going to come from. And right until the end, that's what he was talking about. That's where he wanted to find the next big thing.
And still, I think, had so much to give. We haven't heard any official word on how his life ended. Neil, I'm not sure if you have any information or if you've any more details.
I don't. I spoke to Camilla, his ex-wife, recently, a few hours ago. They still don't know. It's a bit mysterious. He went to sleep and he just didn't wake up yesterday afternoon. So I imagine there's going to have to be an autopsy and a medical process to find out what the real reasons for that are. But as we sit here now, it is a complete mystery.
Yeah. Neil McCarthy, thank you so much for speaking to us at such a difficult time, to lose someone that you treasured, such a close friend. Our condolences to you and all those who knew Jamie Bartlett. Thank you very much for your time.